Welcome, Spencer Aiken, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Good, excellent. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thanks so much for coming on. Today, we're going to be talking about your work. You are a fitness educator and conditioning specialist, so I'm excited to talk about your work. And you do have a history behind you. What got you into this work?
Helping myself get over injuries. Former college athlete who got injured playing football in college, and then through the course of basically in school politics, I wasn't allowed to do rehab at my university for ACL reconstruction. Basically told, hey, you're on your own, figure out how to get ready for next year. Started doing some research and started figuring out how to rehab and do all the physical therapy on my own. That led to me being excited about the information I was learning what the human body is capable of, and learning just the dynamics of all that. Got my degree in exercise science and really just enjoyed knowing the aspects of what we can do. Fast forward a couple years, got injured again, tore my other leg, other ACL a year and a half later, got a job in physical therapy at the place where I did my rehab for the second surgery. Really enjoyed it, kind of maxed out where I was as far as the capabilities of what that job allowed for me to perform, and realized I wanted to learn more. I want to be and have a better understanding of the human body. Went into chiropractic rehab for about 3 or 4 years, taught at a university for a little over a year, worked at a vocational school teaching other people how to get certified as a personal trainer. And for the last 8 to 10 years, I've been developing and creating professional development CEU courses for personal trainers, teachers, physical education specialists on how we can present a more fitness-based knowledge to our audience, because the fitness world, social media is not helping, but the fitness world is more about glitz and glam than it is about helping people understand the whys, the wheres, and the hows of everything. So we get enamored on, ooh, that looks so amazing. And as a 20-year-old male, for example, you may be able to do something, but as a 40-year-old coming back from injuries and or working full time and or having kids, seeing something on Instagram, not necessarily being on the quote unquote supplements that those people are taking, it's not necessarily the best route for the majority of us to be doing. So there's a better way of achieving a better healthy body, better mind, and all that, better mindset, without being enamored with likes and comments on social media because, oh my God, that's so amazing. Well, most of us aren't 20 years old anymore. At least I'm not.
That's a great point because I talk to people quite often about this concept, especially when they're a little bit older. They say that they don't go to the gym because they get hurt too much.
Yep.
And one of the reasons I think they get hurt so often is because they try to do things that was their former self when they were in their 20s, maybe. Maybe they can curl 40 pounds or something, right? As soon as they get in the gym, oh yeah, I could do 40 pounds. Let me start there versus starting where you are, building yourself up. What is that mindset? Is it a mindset of trying to be that former self to reclaim that fire within them, or is it a lack of knowledge?
It's probably more so socially driven and partially internally driven from ego. We don't want to admit to ourselves that we're not capable of doing what we used to do before. Okay. Then, unfortunately, social media is driven by hysteria, where it says, hey, you have to do this. You have to, you must, or the top and best things to do. That's not the way it really truly means for most people. Case in point, one that I'm sort of preaching against because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense is squat depth for a lot of people. We have older clients in this world. We have less conditioned and or less flexible people in this world. But the standard is you must squat to 90 degrees or full depth, or you're cheating yourself. Your whole workout is a joke. And you should never be doing anything in the gym because you can't squat to 90 degrees. Okay. Well, guess what? Not everyone has the range of motion capabilities in their hips and knees. As we age, life catches up with us. And yes, the ideal is to get there safely, but sometimes we have to start somewhere. And people get injured all the time doing deadlifts and squats because they see stuff on social media and say, I guess that's what I have to do. Well, not necessarily. Everyone starts somewhere. The question is, are you doing your program, your individual program that's best tailored to your needs? Are you doing it to the best of your ability? That means the weight that's appropriate, the exercises which may be the most appropriate, not what's appropriate for someone else, and maybe a little bit less range of motion, working on improving that range of motion. But that doesn't mean every day is a personal record. Some days I will tell myself, the back just doesn't feel great today. As someone who's been in car accidents before, some days the lower back just isn't right. So, do I have to squat to 90 degrees? Ideally, I would like to, and most days I do. Some days the knees, the hips, and the lower back say, today's not that day.
When you're trying to avoid injuries, because I think this is a very common thing, especially with older folks getting into the gym after a long time of being out of the gym. Again, I understand life can take over. You have a career, maybe a move, kids, life circumstances, and then eventually maybe get a doctor's note and they say you have to start working out again. You have to lose some weight, maybe that, just a little bit more mobility because you're becoming more rigid. And what has to happen at that point is you have to have someone guide you at that point, because if you kind of go in there and just do what you did, you're not going to get the results. And I see it so often where people just kind of return to the gym, especially around New Year's times. They're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I got my old workout clothes and I got my old workout book. And that's where they begin. But as soon as they begin, maybe 2 weeks in, they get hurt. And now they're out of the gym, they're out of the commission. And I just talked to someone on Twitter, and she was saying how it's good to be young because you don't get hurt that often. And I was like, okay, but I see people in the gym who are older than myself, like 60, 70 years old, and they're telling me that that's the best shape they have been in their whole entire life because they learned from wisdom versus of ego, as what you were saying. What is that wisdom that they know that many people, when they're younger, they just see the social media, the ego that most people are looking at?
A lot of people want to compare themselves to others. High school is a breeding ground of egos and, ooh, well, look what that person's doing. I want to be like that. The wisdom that hopefully comes with life is realizing I'm an individual. I need to listen to what my needs are, what my abilities are. We stop and we no longer compare ourselves with others. We learn from others, we gather around, but we start to ask the right questions. We start formulating our own answers versus listening to other people's answers. But we have the mindset and the wisdom to realize that just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean that it's the best for them or for yourself. From what you mentioned earlier, I turned 50 in less than a month, about a little over a month. I am in the best shape of my life in terms of my mobility, my overall strength, my quality of sleep, my nutrition, which does take a little bit of time to figure out for most people because not everyone eats the exact same. So we sometimes, even with nutrition, think everyone should have the same program. That's not necessarily true. Not everyone will have ankle issues or knee issues or hip issues. Some people will. So a warm up has to be individualized. The program needs to be individualized. As someone who's had multiple injuries, we start to learn, well, this one doesn't work for me. I do this instead. My longest term training partner is my little brother. We've worked out on and off through the course of life for 30 plus years, going on nearly 35 years, right? Since about 14 years old. He has exercises that he enjoys, and some of those exercises are things that I'm like, nope, not doing it. He has a little bit of an elbow issue. So should we be doing the same thing every day where he's like, oh, wow, I guess you're doing it. I'm going to ruin my elbow because that's what you're doing. We start to learn and listen to ourselves. They say we get comfortable in our own skin. That happens in life. Now, part of what I'm trying to do is help kids through our education, through fitness education and physical education learning processes, is teach kids younger that, hey, you listen to yourself. Not everyone needs to squat, not everyone needs to deadlift. Sometimes the lunge is your best option. All three use the same joint movements of hip extension and knee extension. Choose which one is your favorite. Maybe it's deadlifts, maybe it's lunges. Maybe you prefer reverse lunges versus forward lunges. Same movement, same adaptations are going to occur. Find what you enjoy and use that methodology to help you improve. We get wiser as we get older, hopefully, but we also start to listen to ourselves more. We find out what really works best for ourselves.
Yeah, take away the ego lifting and the aspect of the social media, six pack abs, and you have to do all these popular exercises. You're going to get a mix for greatness. I can relate when it comes to having a brother and working out with a brother because he did things that I would just look at like, I'm not doing that. And it is so funny because we look back at that and we just laugh because it's just so funny how he did things and I just didn't do them. And then he always typically did the things that I did. But the body is different. You can have, as you said, ankle issues, knee issues, maybe back issues, elbow issues. And those can start to develop as you age, maybe as you're working out incorrectly. And you can start to see if I keep doing this exercise, is making the pain even greater. How can we start to mitigate some of that pain if we're feeling that pain? It could be any part of our body, but do you recommend certain type of braces, certain type of equipment, or is it all about the workout and the knowledge?
It's all about doing what, okay, we try to fight through pain as best we can. And sometimes it's answering the question, should I do this today? Now, first and foremost, spend more time warming up. Too many people will go into the gym and say, "Oh, well, I have bench press today." So they're doing a chest day. They'll lay under the bar and go, "All right, 10 reps of just the bar. All right, let's load up the bar and let's get after it." That's not the way that I do things anymore. That's not the way that anyone really should do it. If you're not priming your body for performance, you're setting yourself for injury, you're setting yourself up for failure. Part of it is understanding that actually the most important part of your workout is actually the warm up. Also, a little bit, we need to do better spending time cooling down, not just, oh, that's my last set. Let me grab my car keys and go home. We need to understand that how we prepare is the whole mentality. Lack of preparing is preparing to fail kind of mentality. We need to allow our bodies to be ready. If we're not breathing a little heavy, if our mind isn't focused, and if our muscles and joints aren't properly lubricated through blood flow and all that natural fluid through our body, like synovial fluid and stuff, we're not ready to do our best. So we spend half of our warm up or half of our workout getting ready to actually work out. And that's where a lot of our injuries happen because we're just not primed and ready for it.
When we look at the warm up, is there a perfect guideline that people can follow? For example, when I was in high school, I did a workout called Max OT, this is from a bodybuilder, and their warm up sets was 12, 10, 8, and then you get into your final set of 4 to 6. So basically, you only get three warm ups. In high school, that would probably work really well, I think, but maybe not in the world today, especially if you're older. So, what would be the ideal warm up for an individual? You can even be specific with age.
Most people need to find what works best for them. I will say that a generalized approach is do something that elevates the heart rate. Walking on the treadmill, easy jog. Some people do for conditioning work, we do our dynamic warm ups of butt kickers and easy jogging and high knees and external rotation of the hips. If you've ever seen a football practice, you see what they do during their warm ups. It's all movement based stuff, which does elevate the heart. It does loosen up the joints and the muscles. and it gets you breathing a little bit. So we want to elevate our heart rate so that the heart is ready. So it's pumping blood to our working muscle. We want to elevate our breathing a little bit so that our breath is a little bit going, let's say. We want to warm up our muscles because our muscles are like a rubber band. No one that I've ever met will take a rubber band and just wrap it around what they need to. Everyone does that little stretchy with the rubber band, right? Our muscles are the same way. We have the same elasticity. We want to stretch our muscles to end range or near end range of motion. So what you would do, you were doing, let's say, bench press for 15, 12, 10. Were you really working through end range of motion? Because a lot of times, if we're not opening up as much as we can, we're simply not really truly preparing for strength training at the bottom of our range of motion. It's like, if I never squat to 90 degrees, how can I possibly get to 90 degrees? So we really want to warm up our muscles and our joints to end range of motion or what we're capable. That's also how we improve our flexibility and our mobility for the days that we're not working out so that we can move easier through life. Elevate our heart rate through some method. If you hate walking on the treadmill, don't walk on the treadmill. That's another thing. Too many people think, oh, well, I have to do this. No, there's no set standard of you have to do this. You, as a person, need to find what you enjoy. If you hate the elliptical, stay off the elliptical. Maybe the bike is the best for you. Maybe just walking around your neighborhood is great warm up. And the one that I didn't mention yet is your mind. We have to prepare our mind so that it is beginning to get focused on task at hand. We are thinking, oh, did I turn the stove off at home? Did I leave the hair dryer on? Did I take the laundry out of the dryer? Did I complete the email that I was supposed to send to my boss? All of those distractions are taking away from our focus on task at hand. We really need to spend less overall time in the gym and more focused time at the gym. Meaning, if you're spending 2 or 3 hours at the gym, are you really doing the best focused attention? Probably not. Get your heart rate elevated, get your breathing increased, lubricate the joints, stretch and rubber bandize the muscles, and then get your brain thinking, all right, I'm about to perform this and I want to do it to the best of my ability. So now I'm ready to go do that. Now, after we elevate the heart, get our breathing going, we want to perform movement, not the exercises necessarily, but movement of the exercises we're about to do. Squats being an example of a movement where we name the exercise after the movement, because a squatting position, as we all know, is up and down, right? The exercise is named after the movement. Lunges are another one. Your presses are bench press. This is a pressing motion where you're pushing away. A pulling movement is pulling towards you. So we happen to name a lot of the exercises after the movements of human life they are performing, right? It doesn't have to be the exercise you're about to do, but performing the movement of the act you're about to perform is the best way for us to properly warm up our muscles and our joint. And too many people just go in and say, I'm doing bench today, so I'm going to go do 1 or 2 easy sets of bench press, and that's our warm up. It's not necessarily the most effective method for priming the brain, but then also getting the muscles in the body properly prepared.
This is all great information because I know many people in the audience, they're thinking like, okay, this is good information to put into my toolbox and maybe even like implement right now because a lot of them are just going with their last set that they did. So if they left the gym last week doing 30s, that's where they're going to end up 30s and they're going to try to get to 45s. And that is not helpful. I'm not sure if you're familiar with David Goggins when he was doing all of the training and all of the military applications and stuff. He learned that he had to start to do more stretching because he was just messing up his body. His body was in a total sham. or wreck because he just wasn't taking care of his body, stretching, doing the work before the workouts to running. And then now, today, he swears by it. And you're 100% right. It's like a rubber band, right? If you keep stretching your rubber band, it's going to become more flexible, but it's going to be rigid as soon as you take it out of the bag. But something else happens to rubber bands. If you leave it in the sun, they kind of dry up and shrivel up. Is that similar to the body where as it gets older, it starts to do that? Or is there a way that we can keep that elasticity in the body regardless of age?
Yeah. So if you think about like leaving a rubber band out in the sun, basically what that is doing is being inactive. Our bodies, the whole use it or lose it mentality and truth behind it is if we're not doing stuff, our body will regress. Our body loves to be pushed to its limit. Some people don't want to do that. And unfortunately, for most, they go to the gym, they simply do what they did before. They'll walk on the treadmill at 1 or 2 miles per hour for 20 minutes. They'll do some easy curls because it's what they did last time. But what our body loves and what David Goggins preaches is push your limits. That doesn't mean kill yourself and try and be over the top, but you want to see and find out exactly where your body or what your body's capable of. And then our body will adapt. It's the whole principle of overload. Our body loves to be pushed right to the edge. It will come back stronger. And the next time we do it, we'll be capable of more. So we want that little push, that stretch. We want to see what we're capable of, and we want to keep that challenge. Exercise, fitness, wellness, and health all are about little mini challenges overcome repeatedly so that we continually get better.
No, that's a very good aspect to fitness training is the mindset aspect of it. Because if we just say, okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did 9 months ago, it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're being active. But when you start to challenge yourself even more, the mind just, it's like that endorphin rush. It's just like, whoa, I got a new PR. And it's not so much of a PR that it's like, all right, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. It's just that you can be impressed and satisfied with what you just did. And your PR might not be exactly what you did when you were 20, because maybe you were lifting 315 bench and then now you're maybe doing 125. But that right there can be your best at that moment because as you said, if you spent time, if you left the rubber band out in the sun and started to shrivel up, you didn't take care of your body. And a lot of people are not taking care of their body. They just kind of fall into complacency, they just fall into comfort, and they don't seek to better themselves, be it fitness, nutrition, or mindset. And so they just let it deteriorate. Understanding that many people are going to let things go to waste per se. How can we start to invigorate people to take action, whether it be fitness, nutrition, or mindset?
Understand that we are creatures of habit, but our habits need to be about challenging ourselves. We need to ask the question of from our brain every time, did I give my best? Do I think I can do more? I ask my people all the time when they finish, do you feel like that was enough? Do you think you could have done more? And that doesn't mean that we're always going to try to do more, or doesn't necessarily mean we're always going to do more, but we want to have that mindset of in the back of our mind, can I give more effort? Can I do more? Am I capable of doing more? Because remember, the mind gives out before the body. We mentally quit on ourselves multiple times a day, week, month, year before our body ever says, hey, that's enough. Training the brain to say, I can do this. I got more. I can do this. I got more is the best way to set that foundation. And then the question of, can I do more? I have people ask, could I do one more rep or can I do 5 more pounds? If either one of those is yes, then we increase from there. Sometimes the answer is no, but we're learning to give honest answers to ourselves. A lot of people lie to themselves and then find out later in life, well, you're right, I could have done more. But we play the short game, so to speak, and we simply don't push because our mind has been conditioned to believe we're doing enough. We really want to understand that, Yeah, I might be able to do more. Let's try. Unfortunately, when we try, we fail sometimes. But guess what? Failing is not failure. Losing once in a while helps us to find out where our limits are, and then we break through those limits over time.
That's actually great points to make because I know people think that if they can't do something or if they fail to do something, it's just like, what's the point in trying? But yet, there's a mindset in the gym, especially when it comes to fitness. It's like you work out to failure because that's when you are going to grow the most. Working out is essentially either stretching your muscles to a point where they become more flexible and elastic, or you're tearing the muscles so they can grow stronger. All right. Depending on what type of workouts you're trying to do, what is your goal? And I think many people don't realize what their goals are before they even step into the gym. They might just have a simple goal of, I just want to be like I was when I was young, or I want to be able to walk up some stairs without having to stop, or I want to make sure like my knees are not hurting in the morning. It could be little things like that that people are trying to get back to their health. If someone is dealing,
That's the majority of people, but they don't come to realize it until unfortunately something drastic happens. Now, less so nowadays with magazines, but in the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, with all the men's health magazines, and now with social media, there's always a visual aspect of what we think ultimate fitness is. Oh, I want that six pack. For girls, I want a bigger booty. I want shapely legs and stuff like that. Men, I want bigger arms and a bigger chest. Not gonna lie, there's been a goal. It's still a goal. It will always be a goal. But I want to wake up in the morning, put my feet on the floor, and not have my feet hurt. Because sometimes just walking around, being on our feet all day at work, you wake up, your feet hit the hardwood floor of your bedroom, and you're like, ooh, that's a little tender. That's a big one. I want to wake up and not have my hips hurting, or have my lower back hurting, or have my shoulders capable of full range of motion without that clicking and popping. I want to be able to turn my head so that I can drive to work and not turn like a robot. I want to feel better. I want to move better. In essence, all I really want, if people look at the root of their life, they want to be better. They want to become more, and they want to be better at what their life entails. That might be visual to some degree. I want to look in the mirror and be happy with the reflection. But I want to know I can play with my kids without getting winded. I want to be capable of performing on any activity which might be presented as an opportunity to me. Playing beach football, going for a hike, pickleball, tennis, golf, jujitsu if you're into martial arts. Whatever opportunity your life has presented to you, your body should be capable of doing it. And hopefully doing it with minimal or no pain.
I love the aspect of giving yourself a goal and then understanding why you do the things you do. For example, as you said, if you want to run with your kids and not get winded, that's big for a lot of parents because they might be 40, 45, and they have gone and hurt their body because they have not been doing the right things. They maybe were super career focused and now they're trying to run with their kids and they're having a hard time. And there is a place for them to begin. It's a great goal, but it's also a place where you have to begin. And I know that the conversation we have is just a start. This is the beginning for people to inquire about the work that you do, to begin to figure out what they need to do next. Because I understand that many people, they're afraid to get back into fitness. They're afraid to get back into better health because they're uncertain of day after effect. Think about the soreness aspect. There's just so much that can be put into perspective. But I do want to wrap this up because I want people to start reaching out to you as ASAP because fitness and nutrition, again, are big. If you want to reach big goals in your life, you need to have good fitness and good nutrition and a good mindset. All of it plays a pivotal role. And if you're hurting yourself, if you're already hurt and you're trying to get better, again, Spencer is going to be right down your alley. He's going to be helping people get back to where they need to be. So, as we begin to wrap up, give us some final words and then tell the audience where they can find you.
So here's what people need to understand. Start today. You may choose something that isn't your favorite, and you are not bound and or stuck doing it. If going to the gym is not the activity you enjoy, you are no longer obligated to do it. But what you are obligated to do is find an activity that makes you want to do it more often, that elevates your heart rate, that gets you breathing, and is intense enough to where your task at hand mentality is focused on what that is. A sport, an activity like hiking, playing basketball, football, kind of hard to get pick up football games with your friends, but fitness is the easiest method for most people to do individually. So that's what we tend to choose. However, if you are not a fan of lifting weights and or doing cardiovascular exercise, you are not obligated as that activity as your sole means of being healthy and fit. So start. Don't feel obligated that you have to do it, but you will pick and choose and find out what you actually enjoy doing it, and then continue to do that. Do not judge yourself how you may look doing it. Simply ask yourself, am I enjoying it? And from there, you will start to get better. No one is great the first day, but surround yourself with like minded people who you can ask questions about. Don't be afraid to ask professional help from others, because some people may have been down the exact same road as you. And then lastly, don't think, oh, I'm doing this wrong, I don't want to do this anymore. You don't necessarily know you're doing it wrong, but be constantly trying to get better through knowledge, learning, practice. So learn, practice, master. That's how life really, truly is about. Learn, practice, master, and be willing to diverge into different paths, because you may find something you never thought about as, ooh, I actually enjoy that. I'm going to go do that instead. It doesn't necessarily have to be a gym workout as the only method for your health and fitness.
And where can people find you?
They can go to our website, which is strongertogethereducation.com, where we offer all about learning the whys and the hows, a fitness approach that works for you. Remember, what someone else does isn't necessarily what you have to do. And maybe it is what you want to do, but it's not what you have to do. If they want to email me, they can go to spencer@spenceraiken.com. And then we do have our Facebook, where we're most popular as far as posting daily on that, which is facebook.com/groups/Stronger Together Education. That's where we're most regularly on, because it's where our audience is.
I'm going to make it easy for everyone. The links are in the description box below. Check him out, follow him, learn more about what he's doing, what he's trying to do for the world. And it is educating people when they think that fitness is the only answer. It could be walking around the block. It could be just doing something with your kids. Depending on what you want, what your comfort level is, you can decide a better life, a better lifestyle. And as you said, many people are afraid to fail, but it's a failure only if you don't begin. So begin today. Don't let your health wait. I encourage everyone to reach out to Spencer and learn more about what he's doing. And if you are a person who has been neglecting your physical fitness or nutrition, reach out to him. I think he's going to be right down your alley, and he's going to really spark some new drive and initiative in your life. I want to thank you so much, Spencer, for coming on, spending some time, and talking about your work.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Of course.